Hello, welcome. Welcome. This is the global community for adults who are healing CPTSD. We've all been coming together and showing up here on YouTube once a week for over 9 years now. And I want to pause and warmly welcome you if this is your very first time here with us. Thank you for clicking on this video. Thank you for choosing to be here. Thank you for subscribing to the channel if it's something you find helpful and supportive for your own unique healing journey. And this channel, we talk a lot about what works for us in our healing journey versus what's not working for us. And I'm just so grateful that you've chosen to be here today. My name's Athena. I'll be facilitating our discussion tonight. What we've been doing over the last couple of years is we've been doing meditation together and an affirmation, and what we've woven in most recently is a healing strategy. So we have our meditation with Morgan Harper Nichols. We have our affirmation with Lisa A. Romano. And we have our healing strategy with Dr. Ariel Schwartz. And this channel is sponsored by the Foundation for Post-Traumatic Healing and Complex Trauma Research. So one of the most basic ways you can support the complex trauma CPTSD survivor community is by simply subscribing to this channel or giving the video a thumbs up if it's something that you find helpful for your own unique healing journey, or if any of the videos on the channel have ever been helpful for you. It would be just of such a huge benefit if you would, whatever videos have been helpful, give them a thumbs up. And if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, please do. It always is so helpful. It lets YouTube know that we're doing work that matters and we're helping people. So with all that being said, thank you so much for being here. We do have our affirmation, our meditation, and our healing strategy. But first, I'm just going to pause, and I want to warmly welcome those who are here in our chat box for the live discussion. I see a lot of familiar faces. Hello. A warm welcome to you, John Harvey. Hello, Poppy. Thank you so much for both of you for all you do. John Harvey is one of our moderators. And Miss Poppy helps. She runs our YouTube. She puts all of the resources for crisis support here in the chat box, and then off of YouTube, she puts everything out over on our Facebook page, and also helps us with our CPTSD community over through the foundation. There's a link to that in the description section of this video, and then also in the chat box as well. Thank you so much, Poppy. Thank you so much, John Harvey. I'm so grateful that you're both here. Hello, warm welcome to you, Jeffrey Sherman. So happy to see you as always. And hello, Nadine. So good to see you as always. Thank you all so much for being here. Hello to you, Jennifer. It's so good to see you all. So I want to make sure you can hear me okay, because I was having some issues with audio, which is why I was, I think, 2 to 3 minutes late today. A little bit closer at about 7:03, 7:04 p.m. actually, versus 7, because I was having some issues with audio. So I just want to check in with you in the chat box to make sure you can hear me okay. Hello to you, Heather. So glad to see you here. Warm welcome to you. Oh, good. Thank you so much, Miss Poppy. I'm glad you all can hear me. So good to be here with you all. Wonderful. So glad you decided to be here with us tonight, Heather. Am I meeting you for the very first time? I think I might be. Hello, Kate. Welcome back. It's always so good to see you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'll get started here with our meditation. And then we'll do our healing strategy and we'll do our affirmation last. Here we go. Before we get started with our meditation, what we've been doing lately over the past several weeks is we've been doing some breath work. We've been doing some deep breathing as we get started. So why don't we go ahead and get comfortable. Please don't close your eyes if you happen to be driving. But if you are not driving and you're in a safe place to do so, go ahead and feel free to just close your eyes. We're going to breathe together, which is one of the simplest ways we can actually co-regulate together. It's very regulating for our nervous system when we co-regulate. And the more often we co-regulate, it helps us when we're not with one another to actually be able to self-regulate and regulate our own emotions. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. We're going to breathe in for 4 counts and we're going to hold for 4 counts, and then we'll breathe out for 4 counts. If 4 feels like too much for you, then by all means, just make it your own, just like everything we do here. Whatever feels most safe and comfortable and appropriate for you. Okay? Ready? Let's begin. Breathe in. You may start to feel the urge to yawn. It's completely normal. It just means that we are all together and we may have activated your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the part of our nervous system that connects. It's our rest and digest. And it happens most often when we are around others. So for instance, when you hear someone yawn, sometimes that will activate your parasympathetic nervous system and you will feel the urge to yawn. Let's breathe in again. And again, inhale. Last time, breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, and exhale, 2, 3, 4. Well done. Good job. How are you feeling? Let's check in with our body. Just check in and see how it is that you're feeling. Okay, we'll go ahead and start with our meditation with Morgan Harper Nichols. It's her artwork you see up on the screen right now. Morgan also has a free app and a website. Both of them are called The Storyteller. She sends out one free email a week. It's a free resource. She doesn't send out anything else, only one free email per week. And that's what I'll be reading to you tonight. Tonight's video, our time together, and this week's meditation are all titled Permission to Pause. Morgan says, there will be moments in life when immediate action is required. There will be times when you do not have the luxury of waiting on something or someone else, and you must act with courage immediately. Whether it's something personal, global, or somewhere in between, there are instances when the best thing to do is say, now is the time to act. And then there are many other moments where we feel the need to rush into something much faster than necessary. For example, we might get a rush of excitement to work on something, but no one else is as enthusiastic about it. We might become invested in a new relationship or partnership, but the other party involved seems less committed. Or we might have a strong desire to help in a big way, acting as a solo act, when in reality it might be best to assess the situation and ask for help. The idea of when to act immediately versus when to wait are not categories that we can easily and perfectly fit into two groups. However, perhaps it's still worth considering whether we could take a pause and ask ourselves, is this a place where I need to rush? Or could I slow down and wait? It may be challenging to figure out these answers in real time, but it's something we can practice. Taking that extra moment to pause. This is something we can work on cultivating. And while it may take mental energy to work through this, it also takes a lot of energy to rush into things that we could wait on. So perhaps by approaching this more deliberately, we can create space to preserve our energy for those now is the time moments in life. Give yourself permission to pause. give yourself permission to not rush into things before you're ready. Give yourself permission to practice slowing down in order to identify when to move forward and when to wait. I love that. So what about you? Are you really good at knowing when to move forward with something or when it might be a good idea to pause? I know for me, I think for most of my healing journey, it was difficult for me to know when to move on something and when to pause. And I think it boiled down to me not being present in my body. I think I was detached and sometimes dissociated because for so many years during my trauma, my body wasn't a safe place to be. So I was, of course, not present. And it's kind of a habit that I developed, not being present in my body. But over time, as I've created pockets of safety in my life, I've come back home into my body. And I think that over the past, I guess, 5, 7, 8, maybe almost 9 years, mostly over the last 5 or 7 years, I feel like it's become a little bit more I've become a little bit more present and therefore not so dissociated, not so detached, not so absent from my body. So I'm able to give myself permission to sort of pause and check in and see what might be the best course of action to take. So, what about you? What about you? Is this something that you find value in? Being able to pause and check in? Let me just check in with you all. Hello, warm welcome, Angela. It's so good to see you as always. So good to see you. Hello, Shorty Angel. A warm welcome to you. We're so glad that you've decided to be here with us. Am I meeting you for the first time? I think I might be. It's great to meet you. For many of us, checking in here with one another once a week is sort of a in real time way that we give ourselves permission to pause and to breathe. Shorty Angel says, yes, for sure. I need a pause today. Thank you for the welcome. This is the first time I've listened to the replay, not knowing these lives are free. Oh, wonderful. I'm so glad that you're here. We're here every week, once a week on Mondays. We're so glad. We're so glad that you joined us. It's always free to be here with us. Over the years, the time has changed. We used to meet at 9 p.m. Eastern. Now we're meeting a couple hours earlier for my own sanity. I'm a lot more of a morning person than I am an evening person. So sometimes it's better for my work schedule to be here earlier. sometimes you can sort of check in with yourself and you know, like, gosh, this doesn't feel like a good fit. I think I need to do something about it, you know? And I feel so grateful that so many of you are still here with us, even though, I mean, when we first started meeting together here on YouTube, I believe 9 years ago we were here on Wednesdays. And then I think it was Tuesdays a couple years later. And then a couple years after that, it was Mondays. So I see so many of you here, though, that many of you that I've had the privilege of sitting with and healing with for several years. What a gift. Thank you. Thank you for being in my life and for allowing me to be in yours. My hand is on my heart with deep gratitude for each of you. Yes, Miss Poppy. I think we have known one another for about 8 years now. What a gift. What an absolute treasure. So we're going to do our healing strategy with Dr. Ariel Schwartz right now. And this week's healing strategy is a continuation from when Ariel was helping us to become aware of the ways in which we practice unhealthy coping strategies of avoidance. So many of you commented and sent messages that the avoidance behaviors were things that you recognized in your own healing journey. Some of the avoidance behaviors that Ariel pointed out to us, I'll go ahead and read those off, and then we'll move directly into our healing strategy this week, which is developing healthier distractions. Healthy distractions versus unhealthy avoidance. Okay? So we're going to look at the juxtaposition of the both of them. So I'll first read the list of the avoidance behaviors that so many of you mentioned that you recognized, and then we'll move into our healthy distractions. Okay? So some of the avoidance behaviors that Dr. Ariel Schwartz had brought to our attention were staying away from people and places, isolating, overeating when we feel emotional, drinking too much or using substances to avoid our pain, spending several hours at a time playing video games or watching TV, not wanting to admit to ourselves that we experienced dysfunction, neglect, or even abuse, spending too much time caring for others while we ignore our own needs, wanting to control others, practicing perfectionism, canceling all of our therapy appointments and not going, burying ourselves in work so that we don't have to feel, relying heavily on thinking so we don't have to allow ourselves to feel, numbing out or dissociating for long periods of time. So many of you mentioned that you identify with many of those. I know that I raised my hand for several of those. And earlier on in my healing journey, even just as recent as less than a year ago, I definitely recognize several of those avoidance behaviors for my own journey, for my own self. So here, Dr. Ariel Schwartz talks to us about our healing strategy this week of developing healthy distractions. And the way she eases into this healing strategy is by sharing the story of one of her clients named Rachel. Rachel there's a quote here from Rachel, and I'll go ahead and read that. Rachel says, "I wake up early, go to the gym, and am good at my work. I even go out after work for happy hour. But when I get home at the end of the day, I feel so lonely. And then I can't stop myself from eating until I feel sick. It's the only way I know how to numb the pain. But I always wake up feeling worse the next day." End quote. Ariel says, Rachel's story is a reminder that many of us living with CPTSD may use food, alcohol, or drugs to push away distressing emotions or memories associated with childhood trauma. In Rachel's case, she relied upon emotional eating to avoid having to face the loneliness that comprised much of her childhood. Once Rachel identified that she was avoiding her pain through eating, she was able to learn to cope with that feeling in a healthier manner. She was relieved to have a new set of behaviors that didn't leave her feeling so bad about herself. This healing strategy, developing healthy distractions, is drawn directly from dialectical behavior therapy, also known as DBT. This healing strategy explores healthy ways to distract ourselves from distressing emotions or memories. Creating a list of positive coping behaviors, especially if those existing behaviors have harmful consequences, you might discover that you can still use some of your existing avoidance strategies for coping, so long as you choose to use them in moderation. This healing strategy, developing healthy distractions, is not about working through the pain of your traumatic past. That is for another time. Instead, this distraction is a short-term solution that can help you prevent a behavior that you might regret later, like the avoidance behaviors we discussed earlier. Take some time and, there we go. Take some time and listen to the following list of positive coping behaviors, or create your own list. You can return to this list or yours anytime you feel the urge to cope with your pain in a harmful way. Ready? I'm going to read to you the list. And remember, these are temporary. This is just a temporary pause. Remember, tonight is all about giving ourselves permission to pause. Okay? So the list I'm reading for you is simply one way you can give yourself permission to pause. Pause on trying to work through all of your memories. Pause on wanting to plow through and hurry up and heal on your healing journey. Pause and give yourself permission to breathe. Pause. Permission to pause. Okay? So right now we're going to give ourselves permission to pause and listen to this list of healthy distractions that we can use temporarily when we decide to pause. Ready? Spend some time in nature or go for a walk in your neighborhood. Go to a favorite coffee shop. Watch a movie that evokes a new emotion, such as a comedy if you're feeling angry or sad. Play a video game for a short while. Read an uplifting or inspiring book. Move your body in a healthy way. Stretching, yoga, or exercise without overdoing it. Listen to a favorite piece of music. Draw or use a coloring book. Smell the scent of an essential oil that you find soothing. Do some simple tasks around the house, like vacuuming, laundry, or dishes. Count 5 things that you are feeling grateful for. Remind yourself that this pain is temporary and it will pass. Permission to pause. So in this list, in the last few weeks, we focused on helping ourselves identify how we tend to avoid our distressing CPTSD symptoms. I want to pause and invite you to take a moment to pause and reflect. How do you feel hearing the story of Rachel or some of the other things we discussed? Has anything left you feeling unsettled? Were you able to find relief in any of the healing strategies we talked about? Remember, you get to pace yourself. You get to pause at regular intervals and practice self-care. You can reach out to safe community here or away from social media. There's a link to our safe community in the description section of this video or in the chat box in the pinned comment as well. You can also reach out to your therapist or another safe and trusted loved one for support. Next week, our healing strategy is titled Peaceful Place Visualization. And now we'll wrap up our time together with our affirmation. And as in keeping with our theme for this evening, this affirmation reminds us that we have permission to pause and recognize that we no longer have to settle for things that we settled for before. Whatever relationship has brought us to a place looking to heal our CPTSD in safe community, it means that it was repeated relational trauma. And you have permission to pause and no longer settle for those types of relationships in your life. Okay? So here, Lisa reminds us, she says, I know that part of my healing journey involves my unconscious need to fix people. And because of this, I usually attract broken and dysfunctional people who have no intention of ever getting better. Today, I will pause and remember that I no longer have to settle for relationships that involve irresponsible people. I deserve healthy, well-adjusted, responsible partners and friends. Yes, yes, we do. We deserve healthy, well-adjusted, responsible partners and friends. You, yes, you. Yes, you, Jeffrey Sherman. You, Kate. You, Heather. You, Poppy. You, Angela. You, Shorty Angel. You, Nadine. You. All of you. Each of you. You, Jennifer. You. Whomever I have not spoken to by name. If you are here, you, Kate. You, each of you. If you can hear my voice, You deserve healthy, well-adjusted, responsible partners and friends. You. Yes. Exactly. Yes. Yes, Kate. Responsible people only. Yes, Angela. Yes, you deserve to have well-adjusted partners and friends. You are so welcome, Shorty Angel. You are so welcome, Kate. Absolutely yes. Jeffrey Sherman says, CPTSD is integrated into our lives. So after some time, maybe even decades, it's not so much an intense emotion that guides our behavior, but a learned adaptation. Yes. Absolutely yes. And we deserve more. We deserve to pause. We deserve to pause and recognize that we deserve healthy, well-adjusted, responsible partners and friends. Thank you so much for being here. I look forward to seeing you here next Monday or over in our community off of social media. The link is in the chat box and also in the description section of this video. I'm grateful for each and every one of you, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Please be extra kind and extra patient and extra gentle with yourself because you're worth it. And please give yourself permission to pause.